Hey, YouTube. This is a pretty tough article to argue. I'm going to put the link below if you want to read more about it because I'm just going to kind of skip around. A lot of good stuff in here. This is some really good, it's pretty spot on as far as I'm concerned. A lot of ultra rich people are quietly preparing to bug out when the time comes. They are buying survival properties, they are buying farms in faraway countries, and they're buying deep underground bunkers. So, what do they know? Why are so many of the super wealthy suddenly preparing bug out locations? When the elite of the world start preparing for doomsday, that is a very troubling sign, and right now the elite appear to be quietly preparing for disaster like never before. The insider, that I mentioned above is named Robert Johnson. He is the president of the Institute of New Economic Thinking, and what he recently told a packed audience in Davos is making headlines all over the planet. I know hedge fund managers all over the world who are buying airstrips and farms in places like New Zealand because they think they need a getaway. But he didn't stop there. In a separate interview, Johnson admitted that very powerful people are telling us they're scared and that the elite see increasing evidence of social instability and violence. Man, you don't got to be a genius to see that, buddy. And Johnson is not the only one saying these things. The following quote comes from the Mirror. His comments were backed up by Stuart Wallace, executive director of the Fancy Pants Foundation, who, when asked about the comments, told CNBC Africa that getaway cars, the airstrips in New Zealand, and all that sort of thing is basically just a way to get off, because this is my favorite part. If they can get off onto another planet, some of them would. Of course, not all the elites are planning to jet off to the other side of the globe. Some are planning to go deep underground when things hit the fan. For example, there is an underground decommissioned missile silo in Kansas that has been transformed in luxury survival condos by a real estate developer. I'll let you read more about that if you want to. I don't want this video to go super long. Other wealthy individuals are turning their current homes into high-tech security fortresses. Those that are involved in providing these kinds of services have seen business absolutely soar in recent years, and I bet you they absolutely have. So why are all these wealthy people so alarmed? Well, the truth is that they can see what's happening. They can see that millions of people are falling out of the middle class. They can see that society is breaking down in thousands of different ways. They can see the anger and frustration are rising to unprecedented levels. And they can see that things are likely to boil over once the next major economic crisis strikes. We live at a time when almost everyone is getting poorer except for the elite. The top 1% now have close to 50% of the wealth in the entire world, and each year wealth becomes even more concentrated in their hands. The elite know that eventually a breaking point is going to come. Those that are smart don't want to be around when that happens. And we got a few clues about that, about what things might look like when that time comes from the recent snow scare in New York. Frightened consumers wiped out the supplies of bread, milk, and eggs within just a few hours. People started to take advantage of one another, and even the journalists seemed like they were on the verge of a panic, and virtually the entire city was shut down. All of this over just a few snowflakes. So what's going to happen when we have a real crisis? If the elite are preparing to bug out, it's hard to blame them. I wouldn't want to be right in the middle of a volcano when it erupts either. Life is about to dramatically change, and signs of the coming storm are everywhere. Hope that you are preparing yourself for what is about to hit us while you still can. This isn't out there to promote fear, and I'm so done with that crap. You know, we've sat on our hands and not said anything, and this is what we have now to deal with. So this whole, I guess we're just supposed to turn a blind eye like we have this whole time and not talk about reality, right? Not talk about how society's breaking down. Not talk about how people just go into a frenzy. You know what's funny? I work at a grocery store, and the other day we had a snow scare, and you wouldn't believe it until you work at a place like that to see how people react. And what's funny, I was telling everybody that I work with is look at the store. What you're seeing now is a whole group of just it's conspiracy theorists, because that's what I'm called whenever I buy stuff for like this to have food on the shelf just in case something happens. The difference between your average snow scare shopper and a conspiracy theorist is a meteorologist forecast, and that's the truth. And it's funny because it dawned on a couple of them, because a couple of them think I'm straight up nuts at work. So it's pretty funny when I say, yeah, I buy this stuff, every once in a while, whenever I can. These guys get a forecast from meteorologists, and they do the same thing I do, and that's expected. What you guys call that is good business. You say, yeah, that's good business. That's weird. Then you turn around and call me conspiracy theorist for having the same stuff on my shelf. People are stupid, man. Gah! Yeah, whatever. Thanks, subs.